ladies and gentlemen. We have arrived. This is going to be the first time I start my episode with a prepared speech. I find it to be necessary at this point to do so, and I will do so on the days I feel that it is necessary. I'm going to show you how this is done. We have to heal, I agree. But to do that, we have to work together. Here we go. My fellow American citizens, non-citizens, and all humans of the world, I address you tonight for the first time with an opening statement. In life, we often, as humans, take things for granted. Sometimes we figure out later down the road our mistakes. Sometimes we never learn our mistakes at all. This past year was like no other that we have experienced to date, and we find ourselves in a strange place. We find ourselves not as brothers and sisters, we find ourselves in a it's us versus them scenario. This is just noise. Noise that interferes with the truth. The truth is, our country is a guiding light for those that seek freedom and liberty in their own country. Serves as a dream and a goal to finally come here one day to experience the American dream. From within, these freedoms and liberties are being mistreated by all of us. Many stopped the art of critical thinking years ago. Wait for the camera to come back on. Boom. They used catchphrases they heard in the media, insults, curse words, and the art of real meaningful debate has been replaced with hate and nonsense spewed in anger. Talking over one another with not actually listening to one word the other person said. Because if you are an extremist of either side of the aisle, you don't want pushbacks on your view. The same view pushed by CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and other mainstream shows over and over again. That's what you hear. The same view pushed by these mainstream shows are going to be our undoing. Our comedy shows and daytime talk shows have become a political lightning rod for those that don't even pay attention to anything political. Many years ago, the movement was on to separate us, to indoctrinate each side to where we are now. Half-truths and skewed news and constant bombardment of the human brain from sources it takes to be fact-molded and in your mind you may never ever witness. It was no longer news stations that skewed one way toward the politicians, but instead toward the voting citizens themselves. That never happened to this degree. We all debate and have strongholds in policy and make the best choice we can with what was there to vote from come election day. This time, after 4 years of attacks on the people voting for conservative values, we saw something completely different. Families, friends, coworkers battling to the point where one side questions if the other person they once shared a beer with is a racist neo-Nazi. The other wondering if their friend is up for abolishing certain liberties and rights if it goes against the groupthink that's bombarded at them in the media. The fear from both sides became galvanized with social media and the ongoing events of 2020. On election day, one side thought the world as we knew it was over if Trump got elected. The other side thought many freedoms were at risk if Biden got elected. Days after the widely denounced events at the nation's capital, and the current sitting president's Twitter and Facebook, along with many other conservative accounts, were blocked, censored, and lost followers by the thousands. A move that, if you critically thought out, would clearly motivate the hard right-wing extremists. With the misguided taking headlines in the state of violence... Oh, geez. Sorry, I wrote all of this in literally 5 minutes on a phone. So, we have to work with that. So what I was trying to say there was we were all misguided by taking headlines that in the state of violence, it was all planned out online. But of course it was. Did we need an article to know that? Were you living under a rock? Again, things have been made possible by social media since day one. Egypt had a little revolution with it. It was all powered by Facebook back in the early 2010 area, 2011 area. So did we need articles to know this? No, we did not. Unless you're, again, living under a rock. The violence and threats that stoked these raging fires of separation have been on display all year. Angry celebrities and politicians posting videos on YouTube and Twitter claiming the racist and intolerant members, the folks that dare vote for Trump, were the reason. It was the reason for the riots and looting and loss of property and life that occurred all summer. Yet 74 million people are being demonized right now because they are supporting what they are claiming is domestic terrorism simply by disagreeing with any and all forms of violence. So that doesn't actually make sense. They have since the first fire lit in the riots of 2020. The outright hypocrisy thrown at them, along with the analogies and comparisons made with faulty logic, perplexed many when faced with this reality. The politicians and hosts of news shows that did not denounce violence and destruction for months, but instead made excuses for it, can't believe there was ever violence. However, a large percent of Trump voters easily are disgusted by the violence of both sides, as are Democrats. There's a lot of them that don't fall into this groupthink. They're called now the silent majority. They're in the middle because nobody wants to upset either side of the extremes. But for months, we made excuses for it, and now we are where we are. However, a large percent of Trump voters easily are disgusted with the violence, like I said. And they're disgusted by endless race baiting. They view all of their citizens as extended family. We are all one. We don't classify by the color of one another. That's actually racist. As we in the United States are one nation under one flag, one ginormous family. The dream MLK discussed wasn't about being judged and treated by the differences of race, but instead it was being stripped of judgment based on race. Being treated the same as every single human, which is everything that the Republicans stand for. Of course, minus some racists, but it's the same thing on the other side. There's some racists that want it that way. Okay? And when I look up at the camera, I get a little off topic. Okay? So it was a beautiful dream. The people who are calling others racist and extremists for the thought of voting for Trump with blind rage and anger don't make much sense. They instead want to keep driving judgment and treatment based on race. Many are okay with months of violence, destruction, and loss of life, only now claiming to have denounced it in the past. Never did that before. Never saw most of them denounce it until now because it would make them a hypocrite. And still, when they're put on the spot, they have trouble doing so. I've had the very conversation recently with somebody. The argument when presented, what is right and what is wrong, is glaringly clear. None of it's okay. We are all running high on emotions, but it's time to lay down the anger and the weapons. Stop condemning and trying to shut everything down that isn't how you see it. And please don't take my word for it. Look into the things on all news sources. Critically think. Wake up to reality. Both sides are being played. The fringe is full with extremists, and we need to get back to knowing right from wrong. Anger and confusion clouds judgment. As Yoda says, this can lead to the dark side of the Force. The only way out of this is forgiving ourselves for being so angry and realizing not everyone can be classified as an extremist of their political affiliation. That is nonsense, hogwash, absolute rubbish. Reach out to a friend and say, we disagree on some stuff, but I'm not an extremist. We must unite. We cannot unite under these circumstances otherwise. The statements of healing and unity are made with empty intentions if the people and the leaders have not laid down their weapons of division and driving each other apart with their ill intentions. That was a little speech that I wrote in about 5 to 10 minutes. I didn't even spell check it. This came out of my brain at the time that I had the ability to do so. And for some reason, I feel like I'm thinking very clearly when so many people are not. And I think that the first thing to do is stop blaming everybody and let's all take responsibility. But my job here is to help you critically think, because so many people, now the people that watch this show and understand, a lot of them are thinking. And they're in that middle. They're in that 75% bracket of either way. You have the left, you have the right, and then all the way on the edge is that fringe where they pick and choose what they want to give you. So what I do is I stimulate thought on this program. And I'm going to stimulate a lot of thought tonight. Every now and then, my cat might jump up onto my little desk over here, and you'll find that funny, but you're going to get bombarded with a lot of interesting facts and diving into hypocrisy. For if we do not actually look and we take everything at face value, so many people would just shut this program off. But I need you to share this. I need you to show people this program, because you'll see, and you might even find a way to start allowing yourself to not be so angry. Stay firm in your beliefs and see right from wrong. That's where we're at now. That is that moment in history that we're at. Knowing right from wrong. Because so many emotions have clouded us for so long, and we've devolved into a mess. So let's start. We have some interesting things here. Cue it up. Bam. We have breaking in television news interview. CEO of Parler says attorneys representing the company have dropped them as a client. This is very, very, very problematic, everybody. So if you have not been following what's been going on with Parler and social media in general, you are going to be awakened to something very special. Now, if you watch CNN and MSNBC, you're told that the people on Parler do not have any rules at all, and they're all out to do how they please and stoke violence and propaganda. So what happened was, most people this week, as you will see soon, started to get either booted or lose followers on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, all that jazz. We had a lot of censoring, even down to parody artwork. Again, that's from Scott Lebedo. Again, if you start to look at parody as offensive and bullying, you'd have to take SNL off the air. And they're already trying to say that Fox should be taken off the air. And as many people that watch Fox know, Fox has gone much closer to the mainstream than it has in years. It's kind of flirting pretty heavily, like they swiped right on Tinder with one another. That's a fact. So you got to start looking differently at your media sources and how you judge people for seeing them. Because a lot of them are seeing pretty much the same thing you're seeing, slightly skewed toward the right, when you guys are hanging off the deep end on the left. And by you guys, I just mean humans, not political affiliation. I watch all news, and I know when I'm being sold. Every time. Said this is an opinion piece. That's nonsense. They're trying to sell me a dream of bullcrap. I get it. I know what they're trying to do. And you should do that too. You should never turn on The View or have it on in the background and it cues over to Joy Behar and she's wearing a shirt like she was today that says, "You're fired," as she goes on a rant about removing him. And again, why are they removing him? We're going to get to that. So when I say in the news, they're already, now all the attorneys are leaving protecting Parler. And they're not leaving because, oh no, Parler is going to be the next big riot-causing insurrection maker. No. It was probably, and I can't say this for sure, but this has happened with multiple lawyers that even dealt with Trump. They were probably getting threats of being boycotted. And everybody wants their business to go up. That's capitalism. You want your business to go up. But if you have the media powering the fringe that are saying, if this company needs our help, we're going to cancel them, sometimes it works out to say we're not taking the case. But what happens next is very alarming. Here we are. Parler CEO says service dropped by, quote, every vendor could end the company because their service was on Amazon servers. So we run into that problem right there. Now they can't even host their platform. Now that leaves everybody that's not able to tweet or communicate on social media because they're a conservative, lost all their followers, are blocked, or can't actually speak because it might offend somebody. They had to find a new outlet. So Google was the first to drop Parler. You couldn't download their app. Followed by Apple feeling the pressure within 24 hours, did the same thing. But enough people had signed up that their servers were actually overwhelmed and crashing that day, that leading up to that. So if everyone already had the app or can access it in some shape, way, or form, maybe on a desktop, it was still good to go. But big tech did a monopoly type of move. They unionized. And they said, you know what? We don't want any opinion coming out of anything we do that differs from ours. Again, these people are billion to trillionaires. You're talking about Amazon now. They are making cash, okay? All of this money, hand over fist, year after year, adds up. Assets add up. But what doesn't work for them is a startup company. It's not really a startup, it's been around, but they're not allowed to exist anymore. They've been purged. So Amazon was the last link. Amazon said, we're not hosting you anymore on our servers. Get lost. There's a phone call. So, Amazon said, get lost. And now, what's Parler doing? Parler's got no one. They went hunting. They're trying to find somebody, but every vendor doesn't want to take them because of the repercussions of the cancel mob. Guys, this cancel stuff has to stop because when you try to cancel everybody, you're making a lot of people angry that just want fair play. Imagine half of the country canceled on Twitter, which is kind of actually what's happening. But what happens if they got unruly and did stuff to make Twitter have such a bad name and not be able to make business? We don't do that. It's not common practice on the conservative side. But on the left, they would like to destroy anybody that steps foot in their way. Problematic. Very problematic. So we say, okay, so now Parler is completely getting smashed in every single direction. What's next? Gab. Gab takes its opportunity in a free market capitalist system, founded in, as you can see, 2016, and it's been jumping around. It's just been waiting for its chance to actually show up. Now, what does Gab do? Gab loads up like a Twitter or a Parler, but it has zero application. You don't have to download anything. You just log in, and it works on your iPhone like it's an app. Servers have been overwhelmed, so it has been very, very slow, but you put the little link on your desktop, and it works that way. So the other night, we looked into it, and we saw this is how they describe Gab. Please prepare, put your diapers on, because you may urinate yourself immediately. Gab is an American alt-tech social networking service known for its far-right extremist user base, widely described as a haven for extremists, including neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and the alt-right. It has attracted users and groups who have been banned from other social networks, as per Wikipedia. Now, most people go, it's on Wikipedia. It's got to be true. I don't know if you know, but Wikipedia is sourced by the people that use Wikipedia. And if I had my iPad with me at this location and it was charged up, I have, and this is the truth, what I use Wikipedia for is checking out MMA records and information about martial art fighters. Big UFC fan. Big MMA fan. And once upon a time, in 2011, I wanted to see Forrest Griffin's record, all the people he fought, and when it loaded up, his bio was Forrest Griffin is brother of Blake Griffin, whose mother is a chimpanzee called Gorilla Griffin. I kid you not, that was screenshotted by me myself off of Wikipedia. So, for the people out there that don't know that Wikipedia can be complete and utter hogwash, I just fact-checked it right here. Usually it doesn't last long. Someone finds it, changes it up, fixes it. But with everything going on, there's a special moment that Gab right now has to gain followers and give a platform to conservative voices because they have their own servers. As of right now, they're not dropped. They are their own server. So it's just like Twitter. Nobody's going to go along and cancel Twitter because Twitter's Twitter. But what are we going to do to make nobody use Gab or demonize them and separate us even further? We're going to say it's a neo-Nazi haven. Well, my friends, maybe there are some neo-Nazis on there, just like there are on Twitter and Facebook. And I got news for you. There's not a lot of neo-Nazis. I know everybody thinks there are. They've been told there's about 75 million of them. But my friends, that is bullcrap. Bullcrap. You're not just a neo-Nazi because you're conservative, But to stop the movement, to stop people from being able to exchange ideas and do anything, they are demonizing the entire platform. So if you join it, you look, or you're scared to look like a neo-Nazi. Well, that's not going to work out because the conservative side is laughing at this ridiculous thing. But I'm telling you right now, there's people out there that believe that to be a fact. They believe it. I guarantee you right now people are slamming their fists going, damn it, the neo-Nazis found a new platform. When it's just people like, yo, what's going on with our freedom of speech? Let's keep each other abreast of the situation because we have to figure out the next 2 to 4 years who's running and how we can communicate with them. Because if you tweet, one day they'll be shadow banned. The next day you were following them, but your followers were purged. And then before you know it, they're blocked because Twitter deems them dangerous. But what kind of danger does Twitter leave lurking around, shall I say? Plenty. Because they apply what they want to where they want it. Because that is fascist, that is totalitarian, and that is their platform. And people say it's a private business, and private businesses do what private businesses do. But I got news for you. They still could be hypocritical, and I'm going to show it to you. But hang tight. I must hydrate. I have hydrated. All right, you ready? Let's see what's next. All right, so we're going to go into hypocritical world. So there's still a lot more about what I'm talking about, but as I produce these shows, it takes me a couple of moments to get all of these in line, and today I've even sized them, and if it all goes to plan, it will stay working. So now we understand where the hypocrisy comes in. Left-leaning people. Yesterday was terrible, such a shame. All these Trumpers and Republicans are acting like this. This is our worst day in history. Everyone else, we agree. And why would we argue if we agree on such similar principles? We agree. It was a mess. But where were you all summer? So here you have, right, I got to figure out a point. Right there is Washington, D.C. in June of 2020. At this point, they were burning a church to the ground. They were basically surrounding, and by they, I have to make it very clear, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and that encompasses every race. Okay? So they, meaning the people protesting. And again, were there peaceful protesters? Yes. Should they be kicked out of peacefully protesting? No. Okay? I'm being explicitly clear so you can understand where the majority of the left and the right are. And they don't say it because they are scared. So I'm telling you so you can start to critically think this out. No one wants to stop the peaceful protest. Good. Great. Check. Okay, but so many people thought this was okay. And again, Anderson Cooper was on TV saying, the baby that Trump is in his bunker. As him being tough would be perhaps letting the White House get overran and letting himself get pulled out and killed in the streets like a dictator from another country. That wouldn't have any consequences, no? No, the president, just like Congress, would go into a bunker for their safety when complete irrational psychopaths are swarming. So, when this happened in D.C., instead of saying, hey, what's going wrong? They called Trump out for being in a bunker and posing with the Bible in front of the burnt church. This is hypocrisy, because the entire place was on fire, and there was destruction everywhere. And if they were able to, they would have overran the actual White House. Okay? This happened on the left. Not much response to it in the media. So you could see why people would say the hypocrisy is very, very annoying. But let's continue. I will give you hypocrisy every day where it's seen because we have to. Here. There needs to be unrest in the streets. Protesters should not let up. And of course, now granted, they did put a fiery background behind all of these politicians. We get it. So this is dramatic, so we could call it what it is. It was definitely used to stoke the anger of the people on the right. We agree on that. But the context should not be lost. So protesters should not let up. If you see anybody from the cabinet, oh, Maxine Waters always gets me. When you see anyone from the cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them they're not welcome anywhere and not welcome anymore anywhere. And then you have, of course, the great ice cream queen, Nancy Pelosi. I just don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. Well, you want to see something really interesting? What pissed off a lot of people, again, left and right. A lot of people on the left don't agree with every principle put forward by the left. There's critical thinkers out there. Just a lot of them on both sides have up and vanished. So let's see. Bam! What was attached to this post? Of course, it was a fact check. The big bad fact check. Okay? So we have mostly false is what it's rated. What in the world is mostly false? That's like saying it's half true, or I kinda like chicken cutlet parmesan, or this water that I have my hand boiling in is only half boiling, but my flesh is coming off the bones. The same information was checked in another post by fact checkers. There may be small differences. Independent fact checkers say this information is missing context and could mislead people. Learn more about how Facebook works with independent fact checkers to stop the spread of false information. Well, Candace Owens recently won a lawsuit, or at least was taking people to the lawsuit, but I'm almost like 100% sure she won, because they were silencing things she posted up and blurring it out arbitrarily, and the person doing it used to work for CNN. It was a loaded fact checker, if you will, and a fact is either a fact or it's not a fact. It's not half a fact. It's not real. But then again, guess what, everybody? Breaking news. What did Twitter do this weekend? They reinvented the dictionary, of course. They permanently suspended Donald Trump. You can't permanently suspend somebody. You expel somebody. There's no permanent suspension. Suspension means just a pause. Permanently pause means you've gotten kicked out of school. Stop trying to set the toilet bowl on fire, little Johnny. Get it? Good. There's no such thing as permanent suspension. But I bet everybody took that hook, line, and sinker and felt really good going out to their echo chamber parties, even though there's COVID. But they probably still hung out with people and they were like, man, you know what the best thing is? We permanently suspended Donald Trump today. Well, you sound like an idiot because you can't permanently suspend somebody. Just have to say that because it annoys me. Okay, next up.
Joe Biden. Who do you support? Karl Marx. Who? Karl Marx. How are you fucking ignorant over here? He accomplished anything but mass death on a mass scale.
Now, I've shown that one before on this program. That was a protest on Christmas Eve, and there was counter-protesters, so there was the left and the right, and the person said, how are you supporting Joe Biden? And the woman screams from across, I don't support Joe Biden. I support Karl Marx. The Marxists, socialism, communist, totalitarian, fascism, you could wrap all this into one gift, and it's called you lose your rights. No matter which system that fails all the time, you choose to use. Now again, this could be what you want. You could really, really want to legally bring socialism in. But you could do that through legislation, and you'll have to deal with people protesting, and you will, of course, eventually lose an election unless there's no reform ever to the way the laws work, and voting IDs and stuff like that, and court packing. And if they take away the Electoral College and they basically just let Florida, New York, and California and Texas decide the entire election, then we'll never have that option. But when you want this stuff, you go for it, but you can't say if you don't want it, you're racist and you're a horrible human being. A lot of people like freedom. A lot of people like the free market capitalism. A lot of jobs were being generated. The unemployment rate was low. And we were actually thriving before COVID. This is all factual, whether you like it or not, because it doesn't fit going to a socialist system, so you must hate it if you really want to be a socialist. And now that's up to you to decide if you are a socialist. Not for me or for anybody else. And I don't think that every Democrat is a socialist. I think many of them don't even believe in a chance in hell there would be socialism in the U.S. But a lot of them also don't think there'd ever be an effect toward freedom of speech or mass silencing of millions and millions of endless people. But things are happening. It's not crazy talk. It's occurring. To some degree, it's occurring right now. But you have to really put this all into perspective as you break it down. You can't just say every Democrat is a Marxist or a socialist or communist. You can't do that. And I don't do that. I think a lot of people don't realize what their taxes will be like and how it will affect their family and how they can write things off and if they'll be able to afford a house or the house that they're currently living in. But that's not for me to decide. If that's what they want to do and they're ready and prepared to pay those taxes, good for them. That means they're actually willing to be the change they want, and they're not just saying they want something and think it's going to magically happen. I give them all the credit in the world. I think that they're ill-informed and that their plans for how the country should be ran are garbage, but I don't dislike them. I just say I'm going to do my best to talk to my politically minded people that think the same, and we're going to try to advance conservatism financially with free market capitalism. And whoever wins, wins. That's kind of how it goes. But I don't have to hate people. Like that's not my bag, baby. But next. Here we go. Twitter finally steps in to stop Hang Mike Pence from trending just hours after it banned Trump for inciting violence. So, this was allowed to happen and was in their top trending list for quite some time. It's coming back, don't worry. 3, 2, 1, good. So Twitter actually stepped in and said, okay, we're going to take this off. It took a while, but you see that Twitter's not always used for the proper terms of service. And the people that use it incorrectly usually get away with it, unless, of course, they're conservatives. But we got more. So that was allowed to happen on Twitter. What about this? Now, this was from July of 2020. You read it. Unlike Trump tweets, Khamenei's, if I'm saying it right, eliminate Israel posts are okay. So this is a very disturbing picture. Not picture, but it paints a good picture of what Twitter allows. So Iranian leader is basically saying that they want to end the existence of Israel for a long time. Ahmadinejad, if I said his name right, used to want to, he vowed in the UN that when they finally get a nuke, that they are going to wipe Israel off planet Earth. And you would think how the people in Israel feel after finally getting to Israel after what happened in World War II, where everyone said, we will never, ever let something like this happen again. Letting Iran get a nuke is exactly that. They're doing the Holocaust, but through nuclear warfare. Same thing. So I get that Israel and Palestine are very, very problematic with one another. These things don't fix themselves overnight, and it's a really hard thing to even attempt to fix. But Twitter allows this man to say he will wipe Israel off the face of planet Earth, and they decide that it counts as foreign policy saber rattling. So it's okay with their terms of service. But if Donald Trump says, wrong, they'll kick him off because they'll say he's inciting a riot. So what exactly happens to Twitter if a nuke is obtained by Iran and Iran works with people and they do either some sort of invasion and they're backed or they go to nuclear war? Would you say that Twitter was able to saber rattle themselves into World War III nuclear warfare? Would Twitter be held responsible for that? I'm a little confused how Twitter's terms of service works. And I think many people are, but many people don't care from one side. But that, again, is not okay when you're trying to work with the other side and heal. Unless you're virtue sending, you're putting up Band-Aid pictures and you're saying, let's heal, but you don't want to heal at all. You just want everyone silenced and gone. If that's the type of world you want to live in, I have a news flash for you. You're an extremist. You are part of the problem with society getting on. It's fact. You can't want these things and be a morally good person. Matter of fact, one would say, you're in a handbasket of deplorables. You would be a deplorable if you did that. You cannot do that and actually care about your fellow citizen and man. Next. Here we go. We're getting into it now, baby. This man is an actor. I don't know who he is because I don't really follow all the actors, but I went through and I found some good stuff over the past couple weeks, and I've saved it. I've had this laying around for other episodes, but you know what? I saved it, and today's the day that it's perfect to come out. Okay, Joe Biden tweeted, "After a year of pain and loss, it's time to heal and rebuild." And this actor, who's got a verified blue signature, says, and I can curse for this one because it's my own program and I'm just reading it verbatim, "Fuck that, I want blood." That's on December 26th, 2020. And you know what? One would believe that this man would want blood because he was okay with blood being shed all summer long. Police being hurt, people being killed, people being raped at Chaz/Chop, whatever you want to call that autonomous zone, where it was the summer of love until somebody got gang raped and somebody got killed. Yeah, these people were really into it. So David Cross, along with all their other buddies, are complicit. And they arranged all that violence. They arranged and powered Antifa. That's right. What do you think when people see their support from well-known people, even though I don't know who the hell you are, David Cross, saying, "Fuck that, I want blood"? Well, maybe they'll go give them blood. So one would say, just like a lot of revolutions and attacks and stuff that have happened in the past 10 years, the past decade, it's organized on social media. Are these people still tweeting today? Oh, I bet they are! They sure are. Do you not see the problem in that? Go home in peace. I know the way he spoke when Trump said that is questionable, and a lot of people jump to what he really meant, but that's conjecture. So, what about that? What about that statement? That's a really acceptable statement, I would suppose, by the other side, because blood of conservatives is a good thing. And you know why it's a good thing? Because they're convinced that all conservatives are fascist neo-Nazis, but they don't even know the meaning of fascism because they practice the ideology of fascism themselves. They are actually being fascists. Down to the whole shut everyone down and not even let them have a political opinion. But that's okay for them because it's what they want. So when they want blood, if it's a conservative's blood, we all saw when they shot a man, I believe it was in Portland, or it's Portland or Seattle, after all of the MAGA trucks came in and everyone had flags and they was like battling on the streets. They were spraying each other with pepper spray. Like it was out of control this summer. And at the end, one guy was leaving and he didn't have his buddies with him. And they surrounded him and they said, we got one of them right now. We got one of these MAGA guys or fascists, whatever they want to call him. And they shot this guy dead. Right? And then later on, as people were gathering and rioting, they said, "I don't care that a fascist died tonight. Good. We need more of that." And people were cheering. Black Lives Matter, Antifa people, I put them all in one basket at this point, were cheering that this man was dead. These are inconvenient facts, but if you put a sign up on your house that says Black Lives Matter, you're putting yourself in bed with an organization that works with Antifa and Communist China and wants and celebrates people dying on the streets. You're an extremist. You are a problem. And I got news for you. You're racist. I don't deal with that. I deal with people on both sides of the aisle that are like, hey, violence and death and the destruction of our property and our country and our values is wrong, no matter what. That's who real people want to deal with. But those real people are silenced because if they have an opinion, they are labeled anything but normal by a bunch of psychopaths on either side. Are you following the reality yet? There's a ton of us on both sides, a ton of us, millions upon millions of Democrats and conservatives and whoever's on the independent, libertarian side, whoever. And they're all scared to be normal. You've actually found a way with the media and the extremist people to scare people from being normal for fear of being ostracized and then being discarded by society like a leper. You don't find that to be strange? I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. Somebody, if I could on the spot, cue up Mugatu saying, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Next, I'm on fire. How are you? Okay, here's another Arquette. There's a lot of actors and actresses with the name Arquette. We have the old Snaggletooth and others from Little Nicky. But that's Patricia Arquette. The GOP are Nazi Gestapo. They blindly follow their insane, unhinged leader and commit crimes against humanity. On November 17th of 2020. What? Please, Rosanna Arquette, tell me what crimes against humanity were done. Because that's really a loaded statement to make people be like, yeah, crimes against humanity. Are we talking about if Trump went and killed a terrorist? Or I'm trying to figure out what we're talking about, because it's very imperative that people break this statement down. Mind you, everyone forgets that Obama was king of the drones and killed more people with the drone than any other person ever before. That's crimes against humanity, no? Or, which I think Trump should, see, I could say Trump did something wrong. Trump should have fixed the fact that there were children in cages at the border separated from their parents. But still, no one, even the media, which amazingly, the media, they did a great job with this. The media posted pictures of the kids in cages, and it was actually from 2014. They used stock footage from when Obama and Biden were in office, the people that made these rules. Now, I know Trump was like, wasn't me, I didn't put them in cages, it was the other people, it was Biden and Obama. He's right. It was. He could have fixed it. He didn't. Shortcoming. See how easy it is to call that out? Pretty easy. But there's also a way to stop all of this by finding and fixing immigration. Nobody's worked on that. Not Obama, not Trump, nobody. Trump at least wanted to make the wall so at least we had a protected border, stops drug trafficking, sex trafficking of minors. All of this is proven. And the walls work. It's proven. They proved it on CNN inadvertently because they're uneducated, some of the people on there. While they were trying to show the walls, there's no one here, no one's running at the walls because there's walls, Jake Tapper. There's walls. I know, it's tough. It's tough. And then you look in the back, it says if you are a Republican, you are part of the problem. That's what everyone says. It's a catchphrase. They load it up on whatever show they watch. Jimmy Kimmel, if you're a Republican, you're part of the problem. And no matter where you go, that's what you're said. And it perpetuates this anxiety and this disgust with the way society is. And everywhere you go, every outlet you go that you allow yourself to listen to, that they allow you to listen to, because they told you. What did they tell you? What did they tell you? Let's load it up. There it is. There's my graphic. They've uploaded this to your head a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen. They said you can't watch Fox News. Republican conservative values makes you a neo-Nazi. And they dug and they dug and they dug. And they took shows that were supposed to be comedy during the night with a few jokes about the president, like it always was, like Johnny Carson and Jay Leno. And they turned them into political hack jobs. And we all sat there and allowed it because if you turn the channel, the same thing was waiting for you on the other channel, just a different talking head. But what it did was it uploaded and indoctrinated and galvanized, and everyone was like, you know what, I can never watch Fox News. That's where the crazy people go, and they're all neo-Nazis. So where's this paradigm shift go? We're stuck in the Twilight Zone because you won't listen to the other people because you've already been programmed to think that they're incorrect individuals. I'm not saying there aren't incorrect individuals, but you need to take ownership that both sides of the political aisle have extremists. For one, Bill Ayers, who was in all different ways somehow, some way tied to Obama, whether disproven or approved. He was big in the Chicago area, and he used to send bombs to police stations, and he did time in prison for it. There's radicalism on both sides, and it's not okay. And it's okay to say it's not okay. So let me take off my little media upload, and let's go back to this. Again, if this episode runs a little late, I don't give a crap. It's my show, and I could do what I want, and I can cry if I want to. Wanda Sykes! Oh man, I heard her go off in a YouTube video, but I didn't look for it today because, again, I have a life. But here's the tweet. If you voted for Trump, there is a racial bone in your body. It might be in your pinky toe, but it's there, praying for you. December 13th, 2020. Wanda, let's do a little deal. And I'm not anywhere near as affluent as you are, even though one would assume because of my privilege that I am, but no, I'm not. I would like to offer you the opportunity to prove how racist everybody is, starting with me, because I'm going to offer you, and I'm going to tag you in this. If I tweet it to you, they'll just kick me off because somehow it'll be considered bullying. But I would like to, and I'll fly to you. We could meet in a nice little coffee shop in LA, as long as, they open the doors and Gavin Newsom doesn't come with a frickin' sickle and rip my head off, because I might get COVID and probably be fine. But I would like to offer you this opportunity. I will buy and I will get the whole thing together where we'll hook each other up to lie detector tests and we will ask each other questions. And we will see who has what type of racism in them. And I guarantee you, with a tweet like that, you're going to lose. Because you've made a determination on political affiliation that somebody's racist. You've made a lot of, you asserted your opinion a lot about racism. But I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm willing to put my reputation on the line. You're not going to, because you say, who is this kid? He's nobody. You're right. As of right now, I'm nobody. Probably be nobody forever. But what I am is I'm a real American that's not racist who actually is a conservative. So I'd love to chat about it. And it would probably end your career because when I asked you the questions, the questions, they're loaded. They're really loaded. And if you are racist, it will come out. And God, I know in my soul, you don't have a shot in hell to beat me at this. So I'm willing to pay for it. And I'll even buy you coffee and we could talk about how to fix your problems with white people and racism in general. Because it's kind of disgusting. It's 2021. You should be a better human than that. Next. Oh, here we go. Twitter being used for only good things. All right. Honest question. I don't know who this guy is. I've seen the name before. Who tweeted it. But I digress. He's got a blue check. He's got a lot of followers. So let's go. Honest question. Have you ever seen a more punchable face than this kid? Oh, did this work out so poorly for these news companies? So poorly. And then if you look at the bottom, it says, last week, the boys of today will be the men of tomorrow. This week, I want to punch this kid's face in. Oh, the tolerant left. Now, of course, the news that came out about Mr. Sandman, who was, I believe, 17 at the time and in high school, he was in D.C. and he had a MAGA hat on. And he was there trying to say, hey, I'm against abortion, because he went to a Catholic school and that's his belief. He's against abortion. A lot of Catholics are against abortion. And it's his right to be against abortion, just like it's your right to say you're against being against abortion. And your body, your right. Hell, I'm with you. It is your body, it's your right. I'm doing the same thing with the COVID shot. My body, my right. Get the hell out of town. So, you got Mr. Sandman, and they came for him. Kathy Griffin, the most tolerant comedian of all time, Kathy Griffin. P.S. The reply from the school was pathetic and impotent. Name these kids. I want names. Shame them. If you think these fuckers wouldn't dox you in a heartbeat, think again. Okay. About Nicholas Sandman. I'm going to get to what happened with Nicholas Sandman, but we're not done yet. And then we have another blue check mark. Lock the kids in the school and burn that bitch to the ground. If you're a true fan of shoes, I want you to fire on any of these red hat bitches when you see them on sight. Sounds like you're talking about opening fire on a bunch of Catholic school teenagers? That's fucking insane. Lock them in the school and burn it to the ground. Oh my God, the tolerance. They're so tolerant. They have so much tolerance. They're so tolerable. I wish I could learn from them. What the hell is wrong with you psychopaths? Shame on you. Shame on you, lad. Okay? Mind you, before I even load up the next Nicholas Sandman, they reported everything incorrect, and they said he was calling a Native American, told him to go back to his country, meaning he's a Native American. This is actually his country more than anybody, right? Never happened. He was accosted by the Native American who was drumming in his face, and there was other agitators there that are really not good people. And they blamed everything on this kid because he had a red hat and was smirking because he was terribly uncomfortable as he was surrounded. CNN had to pay him millions and millions of dollars for their false reporting because they're clowns. And I bet most people don't even know that. They probably remember this as the kid who was mean to the Native American. That's right. That's probably what's happening. Oh my God. But none of it's true. This kid was threatened by celebrities, by all the people on the internet, and his entire reputation was ruined just because he went there to support what his religion preaches to him, and he is a follower of his religion. That's so disgusting. That's like saying I went to a peaceful protest and then everyone decided that you Molotov cocktailed a police officer in the face and he died, and we're going to say you did it. Same thing. It's complete character assassination. And call for violence. These people still tweet. Oh, remember this. Okay, let's see. Jack Morrissey didn't get banned for inciting violence against a minor by illustrating him being fed headfirst into a wood chipper. Yeah, me too. Okay? MAGA kids go screaming hats first into the wood chipper. And he drew a little artwork of them being shredded into pieces. What the is wrong with you people? And to boot, this person still tweets. You don't think that incites violence? You don't think that somebody might, I don't know, hit you in the face with a wrench on your walk home because you might have a red hat on? Because you've been being bombarded with it from every source of entertainment and news all damn day long? Because remember, you don't watch any conservative networks because they make you crazy and a neo-Nazi. If you're not putting together with critical thinking yet how twisted this all has become, I don't know how to help you. I just keep doing it to spark. There's got to be some sort of ember in there, because I could just give you another one. Imagine it said, throw somebody from BLM into the wood chipper so the cities don't burn. It would be completely incorrect. But somebody could write that, and nobody would accept it. And they shouldn't. We should not be preaching killing each other in the name of politics or beliefs. That's nonsense. And here we go. What did I say about Kathy Griffin? The ever tolerant Kathy Griffin. Just resign now. You lost. It's over. And it's, of course, the beheaded Trump doll. This got her into heavy water. And she cried about it, was upset about it. But why take my word for it? Let's watch.
Do you have fear for your career after this storm dies down?
Absolutely. I don't think I will have a career after this. I think he, I'm going to be honest, he broke me. He broke me. Oh. And then I was like, no, this isn't right. This is not right. And I apologized because that was the right thing to do and I meant it. And then I saw the tide turning and I saw what they were doing and I went, oh, okay, they're trying to spin this and they're making it about Barron, and obviously that was never my intent. I would never want to hurt anyone, much less a child, but I started to see what was really happening, and then it was a mob mentality pile-on. And so many people have expressed to me personally across the country at my shows, they're scared. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to risk it. I don't know.
What do you
But I
think
have to
about
stand
CNN
up.
firing you?
Excuse me?
What do you think about CNN firing you?
It's hurtful to me.
It's hurtful.
Yeah.
It's censorship, is what it is. I'll say it more bluntly.
I just-
She worked there for 10 years.
Look,
She was the
there's
best
a
thing
bunch
about
of
New Year's Eve.
There's a bunch of old white guys trying to silence me, and I'm just here to say that's wrong.
As
You
Larry,
don't have to like me, but you shouldn't silence a comic.
as Larry King said, Ted Turner would never have done it. Can you
And there she is again with that head. She brought it out of retirement after, wah, I'm sorry, they're trying to ruin my career. But there it is, the beheaded statue of Trump. And we're all talking about this, and it's like, hey, you know what? People are inciting violence. Do you not think that there's a lot of extremists on the left that would actually like to see that happen? Because there's a lot of crazy people out there. But she was allowed to do this. She was allowed to rile up and incite extremists with a beheaded version of Trump. and she lied and said she was sorry, but she wasn't. And then she had the nerve to say, "How dare they censor me?" Meanwhile, local artist Scott Lebedo, I've showed you his picture twice in the past 2 episodes, of Nancy Pelosi. Parody artwork, censored for bullying. What the hell would this be considered then? This is a mass murderer compared to a picture of Nancy Pelosi ripping up the Constitution with fangs. Hello, wake up. You people on the left extreme are really crazy, and you're letting them dictate your normalcy. It's time we all band together, Republican, Democrat, normal, and say, cut the shit. Or it's just going to keep going. And it's going to keep galvanizing people that dance around the extreme fringes. They're going to go into it. Because you keep force-feeding them biased crap. And then we have, of course, Colin Kaepernick. Oh, Colin. And everyone says, Colin's been blackballed from the NFL for what he's done. They actually set up a complete tryout session for Colin, and he didn't want cameras there, and he wanted his own special place, so he went to his own high school or college arena or something that he wasn't supposed to go to. The guy's a head case. He doesn't really want to play. He wants the drama around him, and he wants to let the people in China make his shoes. Mind you, again, the people that for the guy who's about civil rights and about fairness and about revolting when it's not working your way, has a bunch of people doing forced labor to make his shoes, to make him a multi-millionaire. Again, I don't know if you know, because you probably don't know, because they don't tell you on things like ABC, because ABC is owned by Disney. Disney's in bed with China, that there are people that are Muslim, and they're in a concentration camp of forced labor to reteach them how not to be Muslim. And people are okay with this. China is crime against humanity. And you're worried about nature. Guess who's polluting it, guys? Earth to Mathilde. It's China. But let's read it. When civility leads to death, okay, it's a little cut from the graphic I got. Revolting is the only logical reaction. The cries for peace will rain down, and when they do, they will land on deaf ears because your violence has brought this resistance. We have the right to fight back. Rest in power, George Floyd. It seems very revolting. It doesn't seem like peaceful protesting to change things. It sounds like, and I mean, I'm not just saying it sounds like, the word revolting, just look it up. It's not protesting and making change. Okay? The cries for peace are gone. They land on deaf ears because your violence has brought this resistance and revolt. Take it as you will. And here's a fun one. Mr. Trump, they noted, is still the commander-in-chief. Unless he is removed, the military is bound to follow his lawful orders. While military officials can refuse to carry out orders they view as illegal or slow the process by sending those orders for careful legal review, they cannot remove the president from the chain of command. That would amount to a military coup, the officials said. And that's exactly what Nancy Pelosi tried to do this weekend. Tried to remove any possibility or power for Trump to respond or have the ability to use the nuclear arsenal. Which, if you think about it, critically think about it, that would be the perfect time for another place to try to attack us if the chain of command of our defense is completely ruined. And everybody since 2015 that is anti-Trump said we would be in nuclear warfare within 6 months. And now it's 4 years later. Still pushing that. Keep pulling that thread. What else do we got? The ever so wonderful world of college. You go into school. Not school. I say college because college really does you in real good. But you go into school and you come out with no creativity, no intelligence. It's all gone. You're just a lemming marching right off the conveyor belt. And they always say the people that don't have the college graduate degree is the person that voted for Trump because they're uneducated. If I send you to a university and give you a piece of paper and tell you that CO2 is really good for the atmosphere, I'm sure I can convince somebody because they know the higher knowledge. takes a lot to critically think and not just accept what you've been taught. Being told things is different than understanding and processing them. And the art, as I said, is dead. The investigation, this is false news all over the place. So there's no proof yet that the officer that died during the insurrection, if you will, or the riot, if you will, that took place on the 6th, however you want to call it, they were told, and I always thought there should be more information about this, but apparently there is none. They said that they smashed a police officer's head in with a fire extinguisher. But so far, none of that's actually being confirmed. And it looks like it's completely made up, the whole fire extinguisher attack. And it seems he died of a medical condition. All of it is incorrect. Nobody should have been put in the position to die, and anyone losing a life over this is horrible. But when you want to push a narrative that these people are extra, extra insane and make more division and make more hate toward them, you know how you do that? You say that they smashed a cop's head in with a fire extinguisher. And if they didn't, and this has been what's going around the news, question your source of news. Okay? Then we have a tweet that's comparing this to 9/11. Imagine 9/11. Only no press conferences explaining what happened or what was ongoing, and the third of Congress expressing sympathy with Al-Qaeda and urging us to forget the attack in the name of unity. What? This is completely different than a terrorist attack from abroad, and also 3,000 people that they died. I don't understand. A city was completely destroyed. 3, 2, 1, the camera's back. This is comparing apples to like cement. It's not even in the fruit family. Discrimination is illegal. The left, when a small town bakery in Colorado decided not to customize a cake for gay couples. Freedom of association, freedom enterprise, free enterprise. The left, when billion-dollar conglomerates conspire to exclude millions of people from the internet. And yes, it's picking and choosing where and what people can do with business. And I found this meme right under it, which I found very funny. Because this is how we separate and we divide. We don't unite and say we're being treated the same now. Let's move to being a people together. For some reason, when we succeed and we actually get unity with fair treatment and equal treatment, everyone wants to put up a division, and I found that that's where a lot of the battle comes in. And it's funny because it says, it's very dear to me the issue of gay marriage, or as I like to call it, marriage. You know, because I had lunch this afternoon, not gay lunch. I parked my car. I didn't gay park it. Because you're married. It doesn't make sense. There doesn't need to be some form of division. It's the same thing as when I park my car. I don't heterally park my car. When I get married to a loving partner. When a gay person gets married, they get married to a loving partner. But we put up the division and go, well, it's different because it's gay. It's not supposed to be different. That's the point. We're supposed to have the same thing. That's what the fight and battle was for. And I always go back to when I was in California. It was the day after, maybe 3 days after the Supreme Court said, hey, gay marriage is legal. It's marriage. It's marriage. And I was like, about time. Great. Gay people can get married. This should have happened before I was even born. And you know what? I was walking in Venice Beach, doing the McGregor walk, even though I wasn't doing the McGregor walk at that point, but I just want to do it for your imagination. And I get to a bar, and someone's in front and goes, will you sign this paper and sign up for gay rights? And I looked at the person, I was like, I am for gay rights, but I don't want to sign up for any email. And what rights don't gay people have anymore? The Supreme Court just gave you all the rights. And the woman looked at me like she was going to stab me in the face. She was like, there's a lot of rights. There's a lot of rights for gay people. And I was like, I think you guys are doing a great thing and a great job, but I think that you won the battle and you just didn't get the memo yet. Like, that was the fight. You're now just treated like a human being, like you should be. I don't know. Food for thought again.
Priority will be Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American-owned small businesses, women-owned businesses. And finally, having equal access to resources needed to reopen and rebuild.
I have problems with that, Joseph Biden. I have a lot of problems with that. What are you trying to say? You're saying if you're a white man, your business doesn't count? As the president, you're not supposed to be playing identity politics. You're supposed to say, we're going to get all businesses. Again, just like being straight and gay, being black, Asian, all of the different races that are out there. That means you're a person. If you're a citizen, you're a United States citizen. You're just another person like me. We're all part of the compost heap. We're all singing, all dancing crap of the world. That's Tyler Durden's words, not mine. But you have it right there. Why would you go on TV in such a hostile environment and say, women businesses last, but before that, these specific races, and if you're a white man, your business is gone? I don't know what kind of comfort that brings to anybody. And if somebody would find that comfortable, please in the comments explain to me how you find that comfortable.
Our priority will...
Not playing that again. And then we have this. U.S. News. I was trying to look for numbers. These, again, there's so many different versions of numbers, but this is what came up. Deaths resulting from police harm by race and ethnicity. And if you look through it, it seems that we don't really get reports on a lot of the deaths, because if you were to take it at its core of what's reported, you would say that you would know that there's additionally over 1,000 white males or females that are killed by police harm, and some as well, more so, were unarmed. But you don't hear that. And I brought that up about Chicago when in February, 2 black officers shot a white man running away. He shouldn't have been running away, but he was shot in the back several times as he was going up the escalator of the subway in Chicago. The division that is created by nitpicking is painful to our existence when we're all supposed to be in unison and living life together as one. And now we have this. A message from Danny Presti's Facebook. Well, let's dive in. Fun known fact, Danny Presti's 4 feet away from me right now in the living room. And my studio is my living room. They're moving real fast on impeachment for a president that has 9 days left in office. Small businesses haven't had relief in almost a full year. Can't make it any more obvious that they don't care about us. True. People with jobs just got a stimulus, and business owners still get nothing. Government won't support or assist us, and owners won't open up. Some governors open their states, and we still act like restaurants are killing people here in New York. This is one big joke, and the only ones laughing are the politicians still getting paychecks. I can only assume I'll be banned from here soon, and there is no problem for free speech unless we're good boys and girls and follow the, quote, leaders. If you live a life where you haven't been affected by shutdowns, great for you. Except when they're finished destroying small businesses, they will come for you. Unless, that is, you do whatever they say. I'm not sure if it's worse that those with city jobs have to follow these rules in fear of their jobs, or that they sit back while the rest of us are dismantled. Silencing happens on many levels here. Here's a picture to remind you of what happens when a business owner opened his business. It's sad to say, I can't be proud to be, I would think he meant be, you missed out the B, an American until we the people stand united to stop this. And of course we have the picture in front of Max when Danny was just trying to keep his business open and fight that needed to be fought. And all of a sudden the city under Cuomo and de Blasio blockaded his bar, as we all know. Well documented, because I well documented it. But here's the fun part. What the hell is this? Am I taking crazy pills again? Here's Governor Cuomo's tweet from today. We simply cannot stay closed until the vaccine hits critical mass. The cost is too high. We will have nothing left to open. We must reopen the economy, but we must do it smartly and safely. Sir, have you lost your ever-loving mind? Or why don't you just send out a tweet saying, they were right? Let's start there. So what is your plan? Because you know that majority of businesses are never opening again. That's well documented already. And the ones that can will probably open and shutter because getting people back in the seats and feeling like they can go out after the media told them if they open their window, they'll die. What's the plan? And when? What's your timeline? Because you didn't even want to give old people the shots until, out of all people, Bill de Blasio forced you to. So what's your plan? When do you plan on letting businesses open? When do you plan on letting the citizens of New York City, specifically, have any say in their own lives? When do you take the diapers and the training wheels off for us, sir? Because we kind of want them off, like, since day, I don't know, let's just say since August. We're feeling pretty comfortable with the stability of the bike. We could take I've lost the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Training wheels. We take training wheels off. But I'm glad to see, common sense is seeping through the thick skull of yours, because you seem to just be really, really insistent to be very, very totalitarian and I will not back down, instead of working with people and actually having open discussions. So I'm glad to see that maybe you're starting to see the bigger picture. I would hope. And it's because it's a little disturbing. And of course, the media will keep being the media. There they are, uploading to you right now. If you're not watching this, you're probably getting an upload message sent to you from one of these big companies. They will follow it. Hold on. I'm gonna wait. That's it. That's all I got for you. I hope this has been an informative episode. My longest one to date. It's usually an hour. I just want everybody to go forward thinking with a clearer mind. We're not all perfect. Matter of fact, a lot of us inadvertently stoked these fires, and we're so easily led to a place of darkness and hate that we broke bonds close to us or affected them. And I hereby let everybody know, I forgive every last one of you. Just lay your weapon down. Let's get our shit together. Because 2020 sucked. And like everybody's been posting, a couple days in, yeah, my free trial's over. I'll take 2020 back. It's time to wake up, people. It's time to start to think. Because we're losing ourselves from within. And every great society always caved from within. Just like Rome. So I leave you with that. I hope that you take into consideration what you saw here today. Share this. Follow everywhere. If Parler comes up, which it probably won't, on Gab, it's at We the People Are the News. Instagram at We the People Are the News. Share this. Jump on here on Facebook at We the People Are the News. Clearly, that's where you're streaming it from. And we can fix things. It just takes clear minds. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be back.